What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing another install on my brother's 2022 Kawasaki Teryx. And what we're going to be installing today is a SuperATV flip-up windshield for the front of his side-by-side. Now, there are many different styles of windshields available for UTVs. There's fixed ones, there's ones with just vents, but I tend to like the ones with the flip-up capability, mainly because if you're driving on a rainy day or you're driving through the woods and you hit a mud puddle and you get a big splash of mud up on your windshield, with a flip-up windshield, you could just flip it up and keep going until you safely get to the side of the road where you can wash your windshield off or wipe it off. If you don't have a flip-up windshield, then you're relying on stopping in the middle of the trail, getting out, cleaning it, or you have those universal generic windshield wipers that you can mount that do an okay job, but the flip-up windshield to me is just so much more convenient. And on a hot summer day, you can flip it up or you can vent it. A colder day, you can shut it and lock it. It just gives you so much more flexibility and convenience. So without further ado, let's jump in and let's get this started. Okay, so again, this is a 2022 Kawasaki Teryx S. It does have a nice big opening here, which is really nice. So it shouldn't be too hard. The hardest part about these flip-up windshields is honestly just putting all the brackets together on the windshield itself. Once you put everything together on the windshield, it primarily just sits up against here and has a couple brackets that bolts down to the side rails, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and get this unboxed and let's get this going. Okay, so we got everything taken out of the package. So the windshield itself is going to come in two separate pieces, a top and a bottom. They are going to have a blue film attached to them, so this is not how they look. We're going to have to peel all that off later. And then you're going to have a couple boxes. Once you take everything out of the box, you're going to have your windshield brackets. You're going to have your lock handle. You're going to have a couple decals. You're going to have your weather stripping, and you're going to have your hardware kit. So first things first, we're just going to go ahead and start working on getting our brackets installed on the windshield. So let me get these prepared and we'll be right back. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is take your bottom portion of the windshield. Now this is the bottom portion. To figure out where the top is, you're going to have these two little holes right here. That's where your handle catch is going to get mounted. This is the bottom side that actually goes up against your hood. And to be sure, you could just take this over. You want that lip to be facing the inside of the machine, and you're going to come over here and just test fit it to see that everything fits and is contoured to the body of the hood. Now we know that's the front and that is the bottom. So we're going to set that back over here. And what we're going to do is get our bulb seal out of our package, and we're going to start mounting it along the whole bottom here. Okay, so this seal right here at the top, that's what's going to get pressed up against your hood. This part here where my thumb is, you see how it has a little bit of metal in there? That's to create like a U-clamp so it pinches up nice and tight against the bottom here. So all you're gonna do is mount it along the whole bottom. Once you get all the way down to the end, get some wire cutters, cut it off, and then we'll move on to the next step. But before you start mounting the bulb seal, you wanna make sure you just peel back some of this blue cover here. Just peel it back maybe an inch or two on both sides, because you don't want to take it all off right now because you want to make sure you're protecting the windshield from any kind of scratching while you're working on it. So just peel it back about an inch or two on both sides and then get your bulb seal installed. So let me do that and we'll be right back. Okay, so we went ahead and we got our bulb seal on. Now again, it's gonna take a little time, and what you need to do is make sure you're really pushing. I try to use my palm and really push it in there. You'll feel it clip on, and you wanna get it to follow the contour of the actual windshield. So again, really make sure you're pushing on that bulb seal to make sure it's actually following the contour of the windshield exactly, because that's what's gonna give you the best seal. Once you get to the end, just use some wire cutters, cut off your excess piece, and then you're done with that step. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is get your handle latch kit out. You're going to take out the catch plate and the catch, take two bolts and two nuts. We have them all sitting right here. Then you're going to install them on this lower portion here. So again, peel back some of the blue cover here on both sides. The catch right here, looks like that, is going to mount on the top. Your plate is going to go on the bottom, and you're going to clamp them down together using the bolts and nuts. Let me go do that, and we'll be right back. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to do is open up your hardware bag and separate your hardware. You have your rubberized washers here. You have 4 small nuts. You have 2 large nuts, and then you have a little pile of shorter bolts and 4 longer bolts. Then you're going to take your 2 brackets that look like this, and then we're just going to go ahead and test fit this, and you're going to bring it over to your machine and just sit it in place. Okay, just like that. Now the top bracket here, we're not gonna tighten that down all the way yet. Just keep it somewhat loose because we're probably gonna have to come back later and make some slight tweaks to it. But you're gonna bring this over and set it in place like that. Then you're gonna grab your brackets to figure out which one's right and left because they don't always label it on the actual bracket. So if you look at this one, we have 2 holes right there, and we're looking at this bracket here. So if this bracket is attached just like that to the bottom of the side pillar there, look where that top plate is. It lines up right with those top brackets like that. So that's gonna be my right side. So we're gonna set that down there. And just to get a better idea on the left side, same thing. It's gonna bolt down to the outside bracket like that and line up with those 2 holes. So that's gonna be the opposite side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this one on the left of our table, and we're gonna set this one on the right. And then we're gonna bring our bottom panel back over to our bench. And then we know that's gonna mount just like that. And we're gonna be using the supplied bolts and hardware. So let me start getting that set up and I'll show you what we did. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do to get this mounted is, again, line it up. Then you're gonna take 2 of the shorter bolts, put each bolt through a rubberized washer from the top, through the bottom windshield, through the bracket, and you're gonna take 2 of the smaller nuts from the bottom and get them mounted underneath. Don't tighten it down yet, just make sure they're hand tight. Then you're gonna come down here, take 2 more small bolts, put the 2 bolts through the rubberized washers from the top, and they're just gonna screw into the bracket, which is already pre-threaded. Now, if the bracket doesn't line up with the holes, you see that little Allen bolt there, you want to go underneath, loosen that up, and that'll allow this bracket to slide into position. Once you get that all lined up, just make it hand tight. We're going to do the same thing on the left side. Once we get this mounted to the machine and get everything kind of lined up and make our final tweaks, then we'll go back through with the Allen wrench and tighten everything down. So let me do that and we'll be right back. Okay, so we went ahead and we got our brackets mounted to both sides. Next, we're gonna go ahead, bring the lower windshield up over to the front of the machine, set it into position. But before you move it over there, take your Allen wrench and take out the 2 bolts holding the clamp together like that. Okay, so we got our lower windshield mounted to the machine. And again, you're just gonna wrap your brackets around the back, bolt them down. If you have mirrors, I would suggest moving them out of the way for now. Finish putting the rest of the windshield together because you might have to adjust the mirrors up and down to make everything fit and line up with the windshield. So once you get your bolts put into the brackets, don't tighten them down all the way, just put them in there hand tight. Then you wanna try to compress the windshield by just pulling down your brackets down towards the machine to get that seal there to really compress and make a good seal with the machine. Once you have that, go ahead and tighten down your bracket bolts just a little bit more to make sure that windshield is not gonna move, and then we'll make final adjustments later. Then the next thing I would recommend doing is taking off your cover, but we're gonna go ahead and put our gasket seal on the lower portion. Okay, you're gonna take this, it's peel and stick. You're gonna stick 1 part along the very crease line here along the flat portion on the bottom. So let me do that and we'll be right back. Okay, so we got our lower gasket seal put down along the bottom. So now that you get it installed, just go ahead and do a few presses along just to make sure that adhesive sticks, and then you'll be good. So now that that's done, we're gonna have to get our top windshield up on the bench and get our brackets installed onto that windshield. Let me get that started and we'll be right back. So next, you're gonna take your outside brackets here and you're gonna mount them at the top where that little flange meets the top. Again, to figure out which side is the top and bottom, on the front windshield, this big metal bracket across the top, that's the top. The bottom piece here that just has these 2 little holes cut out, that's gonna be the bottom. So at the top, again, this would be looking at the inside of the windshield on the right. You wanna take this section here to where the flange mounts up with those 2 bolts. Use 2 bolts, 2 of those rubberized washers from the outside in and screw that in, but keep it somewhat loose because we might have to make some adjustments. And then these 2 brackets are gonna mount to the outside here, and then the shock will mount up here, and we'll get to that last. So go ahead and do that on both sides. Then you're gonna go back through with your Allen key and remove the bolts at your clamps so that the clamp opens up. Then we'll go ahead and get this mounted over here to the windshield. And then once we get that all mounted and adjusted, we'll go back through and get our handle clamp and we'll get that mounted down here as well. So let me go ahead and get this mounted onto the front and we'll be right back. Okay, so we got the windshield set into position. Again, I still have to make a few adjustments, but when you're setting it into position, you want to make sure that your clamps are open, and then you want to start at the top and tuck it up under your roof because it's going to tuck up under here. Once you get it tucked up under there, the clamps wrap around the side. The bottom is sitting on that rubber gasket. Then go ahead and put your bolts in loosely so that at least the windshield's not going to fall off. Once you have that up there, then we're going to go ahead and shimmy the windshield into a better position so that the windshield is sitting up here better and making a better firm contact. So again, make a few minor adjustments. Then once we get that all adjusted to where we want it, then go back in and tighten down your clamps. Once you have that done, you're going to open the windshield and we're going to actually mount this bolt right here to that front clamp bolt right there. So let me go ahead and adjust the windshield into the right position, tighten it down, and then we'll come back and work on our shocks. Okay, so once you get your windshield mounted in the right position to where it closes nice up against the seal, it has clearance from the top and it folds all the way up, you're just gonna manually open and shut it. Once you feel confident with that, you're gonna take your shocks, pull the bolt through this side over here, pull it through over here, and you're gonna use your two big nuts right here. Tighten it down, do that to both sides, and then we'll move on to the next step, which is just mounting the handle to the top windshield and adjusting our bottom bracket to make it all line up. Okay, so I went ahead and I just bolted in the handle. Again, the handle is gonna be on the front. The ball portion here is gonna face the driver. You're gonna have a top clamp with the two bolts that were supplied in the original handle kit. But once you get it mounted on loosely, then you're gonna come down inside the cab and close your windshield. And then I would recommend locking it first, just like that. Now that you have it locked, when you keep it loose, it'll kind of shimmy into the position it's meant to be in to stay nice and tight. So at this point, now we can go back in, tighten all of our bolts on the lock, and it should be good to go. So let me go ahead and tighten those bolts down. Let me just go back through the rest of the outer bolts to make sure they're all tightened down, and then we'll take all the plastic off and we'll come back and take a look at the windshield. Okay, we are finally done. This right here is the SuperATV flip-up windshield for the 2022 Kawasaki Teryx. Again, it looks awesome. It's really not that hard to install as I just showed you. So let's hop inside and take a look. Okay, you have great visibility out of here. Again, a full open immersive experience when you're driving through the trails. You get a lot of fresh air. If you do happen to get a bunch of mud thrown up on your windshield, you can open it up and keep riding. If you want to shut it, you grab your handle. Again, it's real easy to grab. It's right here. I don't have to lean too far. You just reach up, grab your handle, pull it closed, push it down, lock it in. Now you have a full closed windshield blocking all that cold air, all that wind, all the mud and debris. Again, it's super clear looking out. What's another cool feature about this is that you can actually open this up just slightly to the next part right here. Drop it in. Now you have a full vent. So now you have the protection of a windshield, but you get fresh air coming up under here as a vent, which is really nice too. And with the Kawasaki Teryx, it already has a large opening for a windshield, which is nice because on my Honda Talon, I have the same SuperATV flip-up windshield, and my overall viewability is a little bit less than this. This gives you a lot of viewability, which is really nice. And again, I really just like that you can open and shut it. Shocks hold it up in the air. Really, really nice. You can still see down below. This little lip here really doesn't block your view much at all, as you can see here. You can still lean up and see down here if you really needed to see what you're climbing over down here, or you can lean a little further and see up over this way too. Everything feels good. It's very sturdy. It's not going anywhere. It functions great. It looks awesome. In my overall impressions of the SuperATV flip-up windshield, I'm always going to give it a thumbs up and give it a go because I think it's a great windshield and it has a lot of flexibility in terms of having a full windshield, in terms of having a vented windshield, and in terms of having a full open windshield for that maximum airflow and immersive experience into the woods. Okay, everybody, so there you go. We went ahead and we got the SuperATV flip-up windshield installed on a 2022 Kawasaki Teryx S. Installation is really not that hard. I tried to cover it step by step in this video, so I hope it helps you out. But the usability of this windshield is awesome. I really like that you can have a full windshield when needed, but then you can always crack it open just a little bit and have a vented windshield when needed. And then when you really want the most immersive experience into the woods, or you want maximum airflow, or you happen to hit a mud puddle and it dirties up your windshield, you could just go ahead, flip the windshield up, and you could keep on going. So again, my overall initial review of the SuperATV flip up windshield for your UTV, I definitely give it a thumbs up and give it a go. So that's it for today's video. I hope this video helps some of you out. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button and like this video. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments section and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And also do me a favor, subscribe to the channel because it definitely helps me out and I greatly appreciate it. So that's it. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you. I truly appreciate you all. And as always, see you in the next video.